Hola chicos, hoy es el 8 de mayo. We are in session 11. You can begin your day with the Padre Nuestro. Padre Nuestro, que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en tentación y líbranos del mal. Amen. Today, after having looked at your last couple of assignments and tests, I've realized that we need to go back before we move ahead to look at your verbos, your verbs, okay? In your writing, I've noticed some errors, and I think it's important to address them before we move forward. We want to begin in Schoology. There is a document called Repaso de Verbos. You can go ahead and open that up and use it as you follow along through the video. I'm just going to go over a couple of quick points here. I'm not going to spend too much time, so if you'd like to follow along with me. And then you will notice in the video today a extra credit assignment. If you want to complete that on your sheet, you can earn a couple of extra credit points as well. So here you have the infinitive verb and the conjugated verb. In Spanish, an infinitive verb is a verb in its most basic form with its ending. So for example, if you look at the verbs in blue in the center of the page, we have a number of infinitive verbs. One example is visitar. It's an infinitive verb. It is also called an AR verb because of its ending. A conjugated verb is a verb that has a subject. Once you have dropped the AR, ER, IR on the end of your verb, and you change the ending, you attach a subject to that verb to tell who is doing the action. Okay? So now let's look at the rest of our verbs in the middle here in blue and see where they belong. Here we have the word voy. Voy is a conjugated verb. Its original form is ir. It means I go. Comer. To eat is an infinitive. Recibes, conjugated verb, you receive. Hablo, conjugated verb, I talk or I speak. Vivir is an infinitive, to live. Pagamos is a conjugated verb, we pay for. Tener, to have, is an infinitive. Estudian, they study, is a conjugated verb. And bebe, he drinks, is a conjugated verb. Again, you'll notice on the left, the infinitives end in AR, ER, or IR, and they all meant to do something. To visit, to eat, to live, to have. The conjugated verbs on the right have different conjugations, different endings based on their subject, which then changes the meaning of the word. Voy was I go, recibes, you receive, hablo, I speak. The amos here tells us that it's we who pay for something, and so on. In your work today, you will have some questions about infinitive and conjugated verbs, and then I ask you to translate after you've read the notes. So please take your time, read through the notes carefully. It talks about the different uses of infinitive verbs, and then complete those sentence translations. Conjugated verbs have different endings depending on the type of verb that it is. So again, this is already done on your sheet for you. The verb hablar means to speak, but as soon as I conjugate it or take off the AR and add a new series of endings, for AR verbs, those endings are o, as, a, amos, and on, I attach a subject. So when I say hablo, I'm saying I talk. Hablas, you talk. Habla, he talks. Hablamos, we talk, and hablan, they talk. Same thing is true of ER verbs. Once you drop your ER and you change the verb to como, comes, come, comemos, and comen, you're now telling who eats. Okay, and with vivir, IR verbs, o, es, a, imos, and en. Right, and again, this is already done for you on the sheet, but now you can go ahead and work on your conjugations. Another example of verbs in your review today are stem change verbs. All verbs have two parts. Regular verbs have two parts. For example, the verb hablar has an ending, AR, and a stem, Habl. This one does not have a stem change. Hablar does not change. Some verbs, however, like pedir, has two parts as well, IR for its ending, PED for its stem. This does have a stem change. The E in the stem changes to an I. You'll notice a list of stem change verbs on your review sheet. You have verbs that change from E to I, like pedir, some that go from E to IE, and others that go from O to UE. We also have the verb jugar, which is the only one that goes from U to UE. That change happens inside this boot, so sometimes you'll hear them called boot verbs, or in all forms except nosotros. So just to show you one example, if I were to take pedir and conjugate it, I would start by saying it's an IR verb, so I would put my IR endings, OSA, imos, and N, and then I would make my necessary stem changes. So here in yo, to, el, ellos, I have a stem change of E to I, pido, pides, pide, and piden. But in nosotros, there is no stem change, so I leave it pedimos. Okay, and you can look at the notes on the repaso sheet and use those to help you fill out the others. You also have a review of ser and estar on your sheet. You have notes on that in the Chapter 6 sessions you can go back and take a look at. And then lastly, for 2 bonus points on a assignment, if you would like to write one taco joke on your repaso de verbos, I will give you extra credit in honor of Cinco de Mayo on Tuesday. You have a review of present progressive. This was on the 6B test, and in last sessions, well, it would have been 2 sessions ago, session 9's video. For the present progressive, this is to talk about what you are doing at the present moment. So it's exactly like the English expressions. If in English I wanted to tell you that I am washing the dishes, I follow the exact same model for the Spanish. For the I am piece, I use the verb estar. So in this case, I am would be estoy. If it was you are, estás. Here's my conjugations of estar, está, estamos, and están. And then for the second piece of my sentence, so again it would be estoy, I am. Washing is a verb. In Spanish, the verb to wash is lavar. But I don't want to say to wash. I want to say washing. So I drop the AR from lavar, and because it's an AR verb, I add ando, lavando, the dishes, los platos. If I had an ER or, this is what I had, if I had an ER or IR verb in the ING, I would use yendo. So another example could be, he is setting the table. If he is doing it, I would use está for he is. To set is poner, so again, if I drop my ER, poniendo la mesa. Okay, so again, you can go back to session 9 and you can use today's notes and go ahead and work on that present progressive. All right, so for the most part, that is a review of the verbs and the different things that you've done so far. If you have any questions, send me a quick message and I can always go over them with you, or we can schedule a time to talk about this in more detail if you need a little bit more help. Okay, good luck with your work today. Hasta luego.